This is the official start of the podcast now. So,
Snap. I'm ready, Will.
So, let's start off then, since we were just talking about it, discussing our little day trip up at Pen y Fan.
Yeah.
Let's go through that, Terry.
Well, what was it? It was the Adventure Athletes thing, right? Yeah. So you put it on for us, and it was your day to get people together that'd been onto the podcast and do a little challenge.
Yeah.
Right? So, up Pen y Fan. Well, that's what you said. Up Pen y Fan.
I didn't say up Pen y Fan. I said the fan dance, as Lee was mistaken.
Yeah. So
everyone else got the memo, but Lee did not.
Yeah. So who came all together?
So it was me, you, Lee, Bob Thomas, Ellie, who's one of my clients, who I'm going to be doing the 3 Peaks with this weekend. Mm-hmm. National 3 Peaks, because everyone keeps thinking it's the Welsh 3 Peaks, but it's not.
Yeah, don't underestimate the girl. You know, she's got it in her.
She's a savage. And then she brought her friend Ben along as well. And then Perry from the Mountain Men was meant to come from Loughborough. And he pulled out because I was like, he's driving quite a long way. I'll tell him what the twist is, but I'll tell him that he doesn't have to do the twist if he doesn't want to. But I thought he'd be well up for it because he's like ex-military. He's full-on MMA fighter. Like, he was pacing his mate through the Welsh 3000s and stuff, and he was like, yeah, we could do this sub 10 easy. And he was sort of like, I wouldn't say he's held back, but he was definitely the fitter one of the two doing it. He was the most prepared. But he pulled out once he found out what the thing was. He was like, no, I'm not doing that. And I was like, you don't have to carry a kettlebell. Like, we're going to be switching it between us.
Yeah, so what was the twist?
Well, we carried kettlebells with us. So we had a 8 kilo, 16 and a 32.
Yeah, you opened up your boot full of kettlebells. Like, I've never even seen a 32 kg kettlebell. No, I haven't. I think I've only ever gone up to 20 or something. So that was a fun twist. I knew about it before, though, didn't I? Because I remember you were too excited. You had to tell someone. Yeah. And you told someone about it. And I thought, as long as you wanted to give everyone a kettlebell. I said, well, I think we all had a discussion. We were like, no, let's just have half the amount of kettlebells and then we can swap and change. And thank God we did. But you were also responsible for food and refreshments, right, Will?
So, right. This is bad, though, because I had barely eaten the day before. So I had Ellie in the morning for PT. So I don't think I had breakfast. I might have had a shake. Then I PT'd Ellie, then I went to work, I was coaching a full day, like 8:30 till 5 p.m. And then I feel like I had something on afterwards as well. And I hadn't really eaten the day before, like literally like nothing, less than 1,000 calories. And then I woke up and I was starving. And I was like, right, I'm going to get up. I know I'm not going to have time to prepare as much food as I want, so I was like, I'll stop off at Tesco's, get myself big breakfast, and I'll buy food for everyone. So then we've got snacks and stuff, because I knew how hard the challenge was going to be. £50 worth of food I had in my basket. £50. And I was so willing to pay it, because I keep my wallet in my bag, because wherever I go, that bag's with me, because I'm always off to the same places, so I know I take the same stuff with me. I wasn't off to the same places, so I brought my hiking bag instead of my work bag, so I forgot my wallet. I was like, I'll use Google Pay, I've used it before, like Google Wallet, whatever it is. I went to pay, and it was like, no, we need you to confirm this. And it was like, you need to call the bank. And it was a bank holiday. And I was like, I can't call the bank. And it wouldn't let me. I was there for half hour trying to pay. And then I had to turn to this poor woman at the self-service checkout. I'd scanned everything in. And I was like, I'm so sorry, I can't pay for this. She was like, it's okay. Do you want me to, like, hold it? I was like, I live, like, half hour away. Like, I'm not coming back for this.
You didn't think of a snatch and grab? Just pick it up and run?
Just £50 worth of food just running out of Tesco's. Yeah. No, I didn't think of that.
Oh, good luck for the CEO of Adventure Athletes. That'll be in the Caerphilly Times, definitely.
Yeah. So I decided against that option. Yeah, and I didn't then have breakfast, and I didn't have the food for everyone. And luckily enough, Lee bought me a bacon bap before starting from the burger van at the bottom of Pen y Fan.
Yeah.
So I had a bacon bap, but it did mean I was 15 minutes late.
Yeah.
Pissed me off to no end because I hate being late.
Don't worry, but yeah, he'd being late.
The wrong car park anyway.
So yeah, it was an absolute shambles, really, if you think about it. So yeah, because there's no signal up in Pen y Fan. Well, for me anyway, I'm on O2, and I got there, and I was waiting around the car park for about half an hour. I was like, where are they? Looking for them. I can't see them. And I was like, they're not at Story Arms, are they? But I had no way of checking. But then I found out they've got Wi-Fi at the little visitors hut. Managed to get onto that. Got the text through. You're up the road. We went up there. And that's when all the fun started as well. Yeah. But it was good. I thought it was a great day out, and I think getting people together more like that to do little challenges. I mean, maybe the kettlebells obviously was more intimidating for some of the softer members. I had the former, what was these former special forces or something? The softer members. Yeah, no, not him.
Lee, if you're listening, you're a soft cunt, mate.
But it wasn't as bad as you think it is when you first see, kettlebells, a Pen y Fan, doing the fan dance. But then we all did it. It was tough. We did have to call it short though, didn't we?
Yeah, that was
more time than anything.
Yeah, time for you because your missus had an appointment. You had to get back for the kids.
She did have a nail appointment, yeah.
And then Lee was just like, "Oh, you said we're just doing Pen y Fan, so I didn't bring any water. I didn't bring any food." I was like, neither did I, mate. But it'll be fine. And he was like, no, you need this, you need that. And I was like, we're adventure athletes, mate. Like, chill out. So then, yeah, we got to the bottom of Jacob's Ladder, started the Roman Road, and then we was like, no, we'll call it here. Because we was then going to do the horseshoe, but that would have taken too long as well. So it was like, we'll just call it here, and it'll be like half the fan dance, but the half that involves Pen y Fan twice.
Yeah, we got the main bit in. How far was it? I can't remember.
I think it was like 16k.
So what's that? 10 miles? About 10 miles? Yeah, but it was about 10 miles.
Yeah.
It was a fair few hours, wasn't it? Was it 4 hours? 5 hours? 4 hours?
4.5, I think, roughly.
Yeah, but that's good. Because and obviously Ellie's now got her 3 peaks because that was in preparation for it, wasn't it? Yeah. And how's she trained? How's she now? Is she ready for the 3 peaks?
I was actually with her just before this. I had PT with her today. She's buzzing. Yeah. She's just got back from Glastonbury, so she was worried that she was going to be absolutely hanging out her arse. Yeah. And she went straight back to work, and she was like buzzing today. She was like, "I'm so ready. Like, I'm excited." She was like, "Can you just take tomorrow off work and we'll go now?"
Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Really? Yeah. So maybe a little rest has helped her.
Yeah, so we had a nice easy session today just to get her body back into moving and grooving and all that. And then I was like, next 2 days, just carb load, eat what you like.
Well, yeah, exactly. So, get the pastas in. That's it. And the chocky bars.
So yeah, she's buzzing. She's so ready for it. I just had another client win as well on the weekend, 10k for my mate Andrew. Shout out Andrew. 3rd time ever running outside. We do a 10k.
What?
Yeah, he didn't do as much training as we were planning for him to. So yeah, we did one run as a warm up outside maybe a month ago. He did 2k. Then the Wednesday before, so a week ago today, he did 6.5k. And he was like dead. I was like, should we keep going for the full hour? He was like, no, I'm done. And then on the Saturday then, we ran 10k and we got sub 60, which was the overall goal.
Oh, well, he's going to be chuffed with that. Was he chuffed?
Yeah.
That's his 3rd time running ever outside.
Yeah.
In the space of 2 weeks.
Yeah.
In the space of 2 weeks, he's run it 3 times and now he's doing a 10k. Yep. Oh, fair dues. What's next then? That's the question for him, isn't it?
He wants to go into some bodybuilding stuff next.
Oh, nice.
Complete 180. But then the second run we did was a trail run. So I took him up the mountains around Llantrisant.
Well, that's why he gave up after 6k.
Yeah. He loved it. So now he's like, I prefer this. Let's do trail running. So I think he wants to do a trail half now.
When people make that first switch to trails, they fall in love with it. It's so much better than street running and cities and stuff like that. It's so much better. Just feel like one with nature and stuff. So I'm not surprised. Yeah, get on the trails. It's more feral. That's what I think it is.
So yeah, he's got that. So my parents came down as well for it. I've been getting them into training over the past year. My dad did a sub 50 first ever 10k. He doesn't track his runs. He doesn't know how long he goes for.
Raw dogs it. That's what it's called, isn't it? Raw dogging.
And he does barefoot, but because he lives London way, he just does laps of the park. So he's just like, oh, I did like 10 laps today. And it's like, how long's the park, Dad? Oh, I don't know. I don't care. And
he's old school.
Yeah.
Old school. Well, we can get too bogged down with all the stats and the numbers and stuff like that, can't we? Like, sometimes it's nice to just go out and just feel your body and just go for a run. When was the last time you did that? Because I haven't done that. Have you got a watch?
Yeah, I got a Garmin.
Yeah.
But I got that specifically for this training program that I've been on for my Thai marathon and my ultra, which is 2 weeks after. So I got it specifically for that. But before that, I didn't really care that much.
Yeah. How is the Thai going?
Oh, it's going. I've had some big sessions, some 4-hour long sessions, which going back and forth down a 8-meter strip. I do just 8 meters. 8 meters is 5 tire flips each way, and I do that. I did 2,500 reps. So yeah, I count it in 10 lengths. And then I count 10 flips, so that's 1 lap, and I counted that to 250.
Right. How long have you got until the challenge?
7 weeks now.
7 weeks.
7 weeks.
And then you've got an ultra 2 weeks after.
2 weeks after.
So are you doing 2 training plans on top of each other then?
No. So my coach has basically said we're going all out for the tyre, and you can almost forget about your goal with the ultra. That's just going to be you out running. But I've got some pretty hefty goals that I want to hit in the ultra. So I've been a little bit like, I want to push my running a lot further than I have, whereas he just gets me doing zone 2 runs.
Yeah, that's what I would have.
Our zone 2 runs, and I'm just like, I want to do some intervals. I want to do this. I want to do that. But Ty is the priority.
Well, he's your coach.
Yeah.
And the zone 2s is where you build that foundation. You speak to Mike Jenkins and stuff like that. They say 80% of their runs are zone 2 and stuff.
Yeah, not 100% of the runs.
That's true. Yeah, that is true. But I suppose, where would you fit it in? Can you fit it in?
You can always fit more in.
I suppose you can always fit a 20-minute for time, 3 mile, 5k for time.
Yeah.
Do that once a week. What's that, 25 minutes? Fit that in? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not the coach. I don't take my advice. I don't know any of this stuff, but Grant's your coach. He knows what he's doing, I'm sure.
Yeah. It's been hard for me because it's the first time I've had to trust someone else with my planning. And I have struggled with it since day one.
Yeah.
Just being like, I've constantly questioned him, being like, I don't feel like I'm working hard enough on these strength sessions. I feel like I'm missing this side of my training. And then it's been like, I sort of settled into it, and then it's like, I don't feel like I'm doing enough. Like, I'm realising how daunting this is. And I'm like, I really don't feel like I'm doing enough for it. Especially with the ultra as well. I'm like, I've got really big goals for that. Yeah, and I've just been constantly questioning. Whereas usually I can question myself, but then that gives you the flip side of, I then question myself too much, and then the program's ever changing, which...
There's no consistency then.
Yeah, you don't have the consistency to see good enough results before you're unhappy with it and you move on and you're like, I've done it like 2 times. I'm not stronger now. I'll do something else. So...
Well, I mean, have you seen the plan up until the day, or is he just giving you week by week?
At the moment, we're doing week by week because he's seeing how I'm responding to the training and if I need like a deload or something. So it's just week by week.
I would say that would help because, I mean, in these last 7 weeks now, I would imagine that's where it really starts to ramp up, and the time that you're putting in, flipping that tire is just going to shoot. You're talking. You did a 4-hour session. You're probably going to have double 4-hour sessions, one on Saturday, one on Sunday now. I'd imagine. I don't know. Again, I'm not a fitness coach, but I've done plenty of ultra marathon training, half marathon training, stuff like that, and that is, I know obviously it is a marathon, just flipping a tire. I'd imagine that is what you're going to be sort of working up to, but you can't sustain that if you peak too early. Obviously, you know this too well. If you start doing those double sessions now, you're going to be burnt out by the time you get there. So maybe he's got a plan that you're going to start ramping it up. Maybe ask him, because
we've had conversations around it. And he does try and put me at ease with it all, because he knows that I'm just like, I need to be doing more, and I'll always have that feeling of needing to be doing more. No matter what's going on, I'll be like, I don't feel like I'm doing enough. But yeah, it's a difficult one for me to put that trust in someone else, because I've done it for myself for so long. Yeah, it's just like, well, if I fail, is it your fault? Is it my fault? Like, how am I going to feel afterwards? Like, I don't know. But I've taken, do you know Nathan Hutton? He won the Wild Horse 200.
I've listened to your podcast with him.
Yeah. So he set those 3 goals, didn't he? He's got the gold, silver and bronze. So I've taken that on board, and I'm like, gold is the marathon. That is like, if everything goes well on the day, marathon. Silver is now go for the 48 hours, see how far I get. Like, if I get to 48 hours and I'm only like 12 miles in, there's no way I'm doing a marathon, but I've pushed myself for 48 hours. So that'll be like acceptable. And then bronze is just like, go until my body's broken. Like, no matter how far that is, it could be like 12 hours and I'm absolutely done and I can't lift it again. I know I've pushed myself to the limit. I'll still be disappointed, don't get me wrong, but they're the sort of three things that's going to help me process it, I think.
I mean, I think it's all about your bronze goal, because if anything, it should be giving your best, should be your goal. Doesn't matter what the result is. You've put the time in, you've put the train in, all you can give is your best. And if you don't do that, then you haven't hit your goals. You're not going to hit any of goals. So I think, when you break down bigger goals just into simple blocks, simple things, just go in there, just say, I'm going to give my best. What will be, will be. Yeah. And then you mitigate your chances of failure then, because you've defined success as just giving your best. Yeah. I mean, I know you want the marathon, and it's always going to be there. But if you can say, well, I gave it everything, and if I didn't get it, then that's no fault of mine through not giving it my all. Yeah. That's maybe in the preparation, or maybe it just wasn't your day or whatever. But I think as long as you can hold your head high that you gave it your all, it's win, lose or draw.
I find this so interesting now, where it's going to be just it's all about just the arbitrary goals that we set ourselves. Like, I find that fascinating, where we get so caught up on, this is my goal, this is the thing I want to achieve, and if you don't hit that thing, how you respond to it and how you cope with the emotions, because at the end of the day, no one's making me flip a tyre for a marathon. It doesn't mean anything.
No one's ever done it before, Will. No one's done a marathon tyre flip.
They have.
What?
It's been done. I was looking on Google. There was a guy...
Plot twist? What's going on?
No, I've spoken about this.
Yeah.
I don't count it personally. It doesn't... But we've all got our own metrics of success. This is kind of what I'm talking about. We've got our own goals. And within those goals, you have your own set metrics of, this is success, this is not. He did it in 77 hours. In that time, he's... like, I'm pretty sure he did it on his land outside of his house. So then he's gone home and slept, had a night's sleep, got up the next day and carried on.
Right, so it's a multi-day event, really.
So he's treated it like a multi-day thing. I wouldn't class that then as doing a marathon tyre flip, personally.
If someone did that running the London Marathon, would you call that a marathon?
Exactly, but Marathon des Sables, you've done an ultra because you've done a marathon a day for 5 days, I think it is. Are you calling that an ultra? Yeah, they do. That is one of the toughest ultras out there. So it's all your own metrics of success. My metric for success would be like I'm allowed X amount of sleep, and I'm still tweaking those numbers of what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. So it's like in a 100-mile ultra, you can have a 4-hour sleep. Like I'm going by Epona rules. You can spend 4 hours at a checkpoint, so you can sleep for 4 hours if you want to.
Yeah.
You can do that multiple times throughout the event.
Yeah.
So where's my boundary? Am I allowing myself 2 hours of sleep once in the event? Am I doing like Epona, where I've got set distances where I can then have 4 hours of sleep either side? Like that, these are going to be my metrics of success. And it's so funny because I'm setting them, and then if I don't do them, then I'm going to be like, well, I failed doing a thing that I've completely made up.
Yeah. I suppose when you put it like that way. But if you just go back to giving it your all, giving it your best, doesn't matter what the rules are, as long as you are broken by the end of it, lying in a heap, and you can't do any more, then it doesn't matter what the rules were. You gave it your best. Have a look into that, because what is the difference between a multi-stage, multi-day, and a single continuous event? And then maybe apply that to yours, whatever you want to consider it. Because I suppose if you're breaking it up into days, then it's a multi-day. If you're allowing yourself a short period of rest, 4 hours, is that still allowed to be considered a continuous effort? If that makes sense. That makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah,
that makes sense.
It's just however I define it, because
it's up to you.
All of the ultras, they've all got different rules, because whoever's organised the event has their idea of what's acceptable and what's not. And I find this interesting. All sports, like, this is what gets me. All sports are just made up. So, like, I think of gymnastics as a prime example. The rules change every 4 years on, like, how many marks you get for a skill and how much that deduction's worth and what they're deducting for. And every 4 years, it's just an accepted change that happens in gymnastics, where it's like, we've now changed the rules. And it's like, well, that's just someone's opinion of, like, we think this looks better, so we're put, like, women's gymnastics, the last cycle, they were like, we want more artistry in the women's floor routines, so we've now got an artistry checklist on what we're deducting. But before that, it wasn't there. And people were getting more marks because they were doing harder tumbles, and it's just like, well, someone's idea is they like that more, so now that's the rules of a sport, and we just have to abide by them. But at the end of the day, like, it's not like it's a scientific thing of, like, this is more biomechanically efficient or anything. It's like, no, we just prefer that's now the rules.
Yeah, that's what rugby do all the time. They change the rules every year. Every year they're changing the rules. But it's I guess in a way it's giving everyone a uniform set of principles that they can all abide by in order for us all to play together harmoniously. If everyone's got different sets of rules or different opinions, then it's going to make it tricky for us all to benchmark against each other. I suppose when you have one set, I suppose that's what it is. Then you can all join in effectively. Yeah. But then you get breakaway people or something like, if you don't want to play by those rules, you're completely within your right to set up your own personal challenge and flip a tire, a marathon, which way you want. I suppose that's the beauty of personal challenges then, is that you set the rules. You're not entering a race where you have to abide by their rules, or multi-stage, continuous, or whatever it is. You get to set how hard it is for you, and what you're going to do is you're going to set it to your perceived limits, or outside of your perceived limits. I'd imagine it's you're going to be pushing yourself, aren't you? Yeah. Like, for example, the prime one is when you set the distance. So if you'd set yourself a mile, would that have challenged you? Not really. Would you have been fulfilled if you did it? Not really. But you in your head have a number. It's quite funny. Yeah, you've had 26.2 miles as a number, but where's that come from? That's come from some Greek guy running something hundreds of years ago, but somehow that carries a significance, and that's the number that you're going to go for, and you're going to give it your all. It is a funny one. Goals are a funny one, but I suppose that's the beauty of setting your own personal challenges. You can get creative and do it however you want.
Yeah. This is something I'm trying to then explain to people that, like, ask me advice, because I PT and everything, so I've got clients, but even just other people where it's like they've got goals as well, and they're asking me for advice because they see me as setting these massive goals, and they're like, wow, like, I'll never be able to do something like that, and it makes their goals feel small. And I'm like, well, this is your goal. Like, your 10k could be my ultra marathon. Like, your 10k could be my 10k flipping a tire. Like, they're incomparable because one's for you and one's for me. Like, they're so different. But then it's also like you said, like, there's this agreed structure that everyone's abiding by to make sport playable and fair and all of that. But you don't need to get caught up in it. Like, at the end of the day, it's a game. Like, all of these sports are just different games that we're playing. And I just find it funny because people get so caught up in it. Where, like, I do it. I'm doing it with this tire. I'm like, if I don't hit that marathon, how disappointed am I going to be? But then I've made it up. Like, it's a stupid thing that I just wrote down on my whiteboard one day because I was trying to think of 12 really hard things, like almost impossible things that I thought maybe could be possible. And one of them was just, marathon tire flip. Like, and now I'm so invested in it that if I don't do it, I'm going to be beating myself up. Why beat yourself up? It's a stupid challenge.
It's all within how we frame things, because I recently did the South Wales Three Peaks, and I probably didn't train as much as I should have for it. I did hit the sessions, but I think on the weekends, because of time limits, I was wanting to get up to sort of 3-hour runs. Probably only did, my max was probably only an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours if I ever did hit that. I didn't feel I was prepared. So when I went into doing the challenge, I just changed the success criteria. I was like, I'm no longer I wanted to get in 6.5 hours, I think, originally, under 6 hours. That was now off, couldn't do that. The success criteria I changed it to, it's like, right, I'm not well prepared enough for this, just get out there and do it. So I just changed the success criteria, and then that meant that it didn't affect my confidence going in. I think sometimes if you go in knowing you haven't prepared for something but still holding yourself accountable to this huge goal, it's going to demotivate you. You're going to have a lack of self-belief, a lack of confidence. That's all going to have physiological effects on how you perform. It holds you back. You get flustered. Your concentration narrows. You're not as relaxed and free-thinking. And then your performance. So just by thinking, you've affected the way in which you can actually tackle and perform and take on the challenge. So not that I'm giving advice, not that you've even asked for it, but have a goal that you aim for that is achievable. That's why I'm saying just go out there and do your best. Because if you do feel like you cannot hit your target at any point, it will beat you. Like boxers, prime example, UFC fighters, there's so much trash talk in the build-up, and that is to get into people's heads. And as soon as you can affect someone's confidence and their thought of whether they can win, it's just a cascade then of issues. It's like dominoes. They can just you can beat them before they even get in the ring. And in this sort of sports psychology angle or world, not that I am a sports psychologist, I'm just avid fan, I like reading up on this stuff. If you can go in with a confidence, you're going to increase your chance of actually hitting maybe your even main goal. But don't beat yourself up. Just go out there to go, I'm going to give you my all. Right? And that's all it has to be. Because as soon as you say you have a bad hour, you're going to hit a wall. Wall's going to come, and you're going to have to battle through it. And it's the difference of succumbing to that wall or smashing through it.
Yeah.
And that perhaps goes to what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah. With that, I've been thinking a lot recently where I feel like to achieve the sorts of things that people like us set out for ourselves, you have to have some completely outlandish sort of belief in yourself in a way where you can't be doubting yourself. You just have to be like, there is no way in hell I'm not going to be able to do this. I am that good at what I do that marathon tire flip, light work. Like, you have to have that just confidence in yourself that it's like, this is a thing that I 100% can achieve, and it's based on zero evidence. And that's so against everything that I've always believed of, like, confidence is built off of achievements, and it's like you hit one small goal and then it like snowballs, and you can build your confidence and build off that. Whereas it's like the starting point for this is there's this stupid thing I want to do, and I've got the full belief that I can do it with no prior evidence, and it doesn't matter because I'm going to do it. And there's just no two ways about it.
Self-belief is one of the most important things. You've got, I think it's one of the traits they've looked at, like high-performing athletes and entrepreneurs and stuff like that. And one of the biggest traits is just this unwavering belief in themselves that they can do it. And you say without experience, yes, you haven't directly flipped a tire a marathon times, but you've done hard things, and you go, right, well, I've been in that stressful situation, I know I can deal with that, or I've done this, I've done 24-hour challenges, I know I can deal with that. It gives you a confidence that yes, I've been in these situations and I've got through them, and in that way that's going to feed your self-belief as well. So although it's not directly through the successes of flipping tires, you're able to take from other areas of your life and to give you that self-belief. But it's the number one thing. I think I don't know about you, like in a weird, maybe egotistical thing, I look at other athletes. I could do that. I honestly believe I could do that. Even Olympians, I could do that if I devoted 4 years of my life and did that. I'm talking out my ass. Like, I probably can't. But there's this weird belief within me that sort of enables me to try things and give things a go. And obviously, if you lack that from the start, it's going to just hold you back.
I'm actually so glad you said that, because there was a time where when I was getting into Olympic lifting, I had no prior experience. I looked at the numbers for qualification for Commonwealths, and I was like, yeah, that's doable. I could do that in the next couple of years. I'll do that by the next Commonwealth cycle. What? I've never done a snatch before in my life. I couldn't even overhead squat, and I was like, give me 2 years, I'll get in the Commonwealths. I obviously didn't. I did it for a year, did pretty well, and then I was just like, I'm bored of this now, I'll do something else. Probably found something else that I was like, I could qualify for that, I'll do that next. Yeah, no one's ever said that to me before, and I've just, like, I've had it in my head, and I'm like, I am a bit different for thinking this, and knowing that there's other people out there with that silly level of belief.
Like, I don't know if it's this, like, I don't know if it's ego or what, but like anyone, I'll see an academic or a TV presenter or something like that. I could do that. I can do that. I'm not going to. I suppose with age now I've realised maybe I can't, but it's just a belief that if I had the time and I invested and I went down the same road, I could have got to the places where they would. And maybe there is an important message in there, but in the, like, when people are looking at, say you said there's a difference between people's targets, you know, someone's 5k might be your ultra marathon and stuff. Well, maybe if they went down your path, they could do it too. Well, they probably could actually. So in a way that we can all do that. We can all do it. We've just got to follow down their paths and put the effort in and all that. Yeah. Maybe.
I think it's super important to think like that though, and I feel like that's what I try and teach people, is you can literally do almost anything, and there's always going to be those excuses of, their like physiology is different to mine, like they've got the fast twitch muscle fibers, they've got slow twitch, they can run faster naturally, it's always they're natural at it. And it's like, yes, they are at the very top 0.1%. Like, you look at the Michael Jordans, I will never be as good at basketball as Michael Jordan was. Like, there is no chance in my life I will ever do that. But then you see other players that are in the NBA and in the Olympics for basketball, and they don't have the same talent as Michael Jordan, and they've still got that far. So yes, you can get to a extremely high level at anything you want to do. But if you're going to be the best in the world at it, like, I'm never going to run a marathon faster than Kipchoge. I can accept that. Yeah. I could probably still get into the elites for the UK marathons. I could probably still get to a point where if I dedicated my life to it, I could probably run a sub 2:30 marathon. I'm not going to. That sounds extremely boring to me. But that belief, like you're saying, like, everyone can get to a really high standard.
Yeah, I mean, confidence is one of the biggest issues of. It's the biggest barrier for people to applying themselves or taking up a fitness class, having a goal. Starting a business, whatever they want to do in their life, confidence is one of the biggest barriers. We do a survey every year with Rockman, and it came out, I think, as the third biggest barrier. It's the fear of loss. It's the fear of judgment from other people, and it's a real issue of holding people back. But a nice twist I have on it. People give the excuses. Oh, I can't do that. I'm overweight. Or I can't do that. I'm not fast enough. I can't do that. I'm not tall enough. If you just twist it, I'm going to do that despite being overweight. I'm going to achieve that despite being too short. I think it's a nice way of reframing it in your mind and going, yeah, everyone's got hang-ups. Even Michael Jordan he's probably considered short, actually, or for a basketballer. He wasn't like 6'7" or anything. He was probably quite medium height, wasn't he? So even he had his hang-ups. He wasn't the tallest one there. But he became the top despite doing that stuff. Despite having these issues and stuff. And if you could just make those little reframes, I see it all the time, people being held back and not getting involved. I know that you've had clients before that have postponed things or pulled out of things because of a lack of confidence and stuff. And I think with this self-belief that we're talking about, I'm prepared to fail. I'm prepared to fall on my ass at anything. And I think that if you can just have that attitude, you'll be able to throw yourself into things without a fear of failure, without a fear of judgment, and actually make progress rather than never starting.
Yeah. What do you feel about the fear of success?
A fear of success?
Yeah.
A fear of success?
I've been pondering a lot recently, but I want to get your thoughts before I almost impose my thoughts on you, because I think you're going to quite strongly align with what I say.
Right. A fear of success. People are scared of achieving, and that is stopping them starting.
Not just starting, but it's holding them back. They might be trying to achieve a thing, but the fear of achieving it is even subconsciously holding them back.
It could be. I'm trying to apply it to something in my life. So maybe if I do well at something, say with Rockman, or we get to a step, maybe we get a certain amount of customers or something like that, or members, that will mean that more infrastructure is needed on the site, more staff members, more stress. Is that sort of what you're talking about? Like, succeeding in something will equal more stuff that I need to tackle and do. So maybe, is there part of me that doesn't want to achieve that? Is that along the lines that you're thinking?
Yeah. So the way I've been thinking about it for myself is I've been using my PT as an example, where I know I go above and beyond for my clients, and I feel like everyone's really starting to see the lengths I go through for that. And I feel like almost by succeeding, I'm making other people look bad, and then you start getting treated differently. Like, people that were your friends now start like moaning about you and talking to you different, and they're like, in their own subconscious way, they're envious of you, and it makes them feel inadequate. And then by them treating you differently, it almost makes you not want to do as well, because then you're an outcast. You want to be accepted in this group, especially if it's like you're all doing the same thing, and you want to be accepted in that group, and then you're not. And I feel like that can hold people back, because they're like, if I do too well, I don't think they actually think about this, but I think it shows in their actions. If I do too well at this thing, they're going to treat me different, and they're not going to like me. So I'm going to hold myself back to their level.
Yeah. That sounds like a fear of judgment to me, fundamentally. Yeah. It's the tall poppy syndrome. Have you heard about tall poppy syndrome? So apparently out in the fields where they grow the poppies, they like them all to be the same length, and sometimes you'll get a poppy that grows up higher than the others, and this will then cause the other ones around it to sort of like rise up, and you won't get an even field then. So they come around and they chop the ones that are growing up just to keep the field level. And I find that's when you're trying to apply yourself and you're doing well and you're progressing, there are going to be people around you that don't like that, and because it highlights to them, it almost like holds a mirror up to them of their failings and why aren't they doing that. And they will treat you differently, and there will be envy and jealousy, and I've experienced it myself. And if you're asking for advice, it's fuck them. Like honestly, I've again, it is that fear of judgment that, because sometimes who needs enemies when you've got friends, and like, because some of my biggest judges of what I've been trying to achieve have been my best friends, and it hits hard, and it does ruin sort of special relationships that you can have, but ultimately the problem's with them, not with you. It's in their head that they've got the issue, and it's them that needs to sort it out. And if they're gonna be sort of like this vacuum that just sucks up all positivity and any motivation and energy that you've got, then just cut them off and just think, fuck them, man. Like, you don't want people like that in your lives that are going to hold you back. If you've got dreams and aspirations, and you want to go get something, and there's people holding you back because of how they feel, nothing to do with you. They should be happy for you. If they're really your friends, they should be happy for you. There was a great Jordan Peterson quote actually I heard. Is that you can tell who a good friend is if you can tell them bad news. You can tell who a really good friend is if you're able to tell them good news and they can celebrate with you. And if you can't tell these people good news, or you're fearful of doing that because they're not going to celebrate with you, they can judge you or treat you differently, then just get rid, man. Yeah. Get rid.
I think it just speaks volumes into how much your surroundings can affect what you're doing, how you're doing it, why you're doing it, because I always felt massively like an outcast doing the sort of challenges I did. I remember it was 2019, after I ran my ultra marathon, I wanted to revisit Pen y Fan, because my ultra marathon was the first time I'd ever been at Pen y Fan. So I was like, I want to revisit it. And the ultra was in November. So then it was like, we went in December, me and a couple of my mates, and I convinced them to start off by carrying a rock up with us that we found at the bottom, like a big boulder on our shoulders.
Did you take food and drink this time? No. Of course he didn't. Of course he did, yeah.
It was snowing as well, so there was like heavy snow on the path, so we was carrying this boulder, and then I was like, right, let's drop the boulder, let's do intervals to the top, and then we got to the top, and then I was like, oh, on the way down, let's do barefoot. We walked barefoot in the snow on the way down, and then we got to the bottom. I was like, oh, there's a river there, let's jump in the river and do a cold dip, and we did all of these things. And I remember going to work afterwards, and they were like, oh, you're right, how's your day been? I was like, yeah, I've just done all this stuff, and I was so excited, and I was like, I've had the best day, like, I've been out, I've done this thing that I love doing. And then they were just like, you're fucking crazy, like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? That's so stupid. And I just felt so demotivated after that. I was like, I've just had a really good day and I'm being judged for it, and it made me like just like go within myself again. And I, like you're saying, like, I felt bad for wanting to celebrate this thing. And you don't always get a choice with who you work with, do you?
No.
But then that was everyone in my life. Like, no matter who I would talk to and be like, I've got this idea for a challenge, they'll be like, stop doing this, you're gonna hurt yourself, you're gonna kill yourself, like, you're pushing too much. And I was like, oh, okay, I was really excited for that. And then now that I've got this podcast and I've got like you in my corner, I've got Mike, I've got Bob. Like, Bob's the best for it, because he's, like you're saying, like, I'll be like, yeah, like, I've got this idea, and he's like, that's a shit idea, you need to make it harder. It's not like, it's a shit idea, you're stupid. It's like, yeah, let's make this harder, let's make this better, let's improve this idea. And then I can be excited about things, and I've got people there to be excited with. And it's made my challenges way harder, because I don't feel like I'm being stupid by setting an unrealistic challenge. I feel like everyone gets it, because I look at Bob and he's just cycled back from Italy for a laugh. Yeah. And he didn't even know he was going to Italy, and he's just cycled back, and he's straight off to work. He's gone up to Scotland to do some filming. And I've got like Bob, and you've got your challenge coming up, which we'll talk about soon. I've got Mike, who's just run a 100-mile race, and in my head that's crazy, but in like the most exciting way ever. And I'm like, I don't know if I'd be able to do that despite everything else I'm doing. And everyone's just like, we're all pushing each other up, and having the group chat's been like the best thing ever.
Hell yeah, that support network, isn't it? It's one of the pillars of sort of motivation, is having a close-knit network of social support to help you get through these things. And it's for anything, for when you're down, when you're up, they can help you celebrate, they can help you solve problems. And as soon as you find yourself in the environment, you're just going to be energized by the people around you to go out and do this. People do bring you down. I can't believe, yeah, it does knock you. And imagine just being told constantly that what you're doing is rubbish. You're going to give up. And these people don't understand how the effect they're having on these people, and sort of like the dream killers. But the sooner you can get away from it, the better.
Yeah. I found, like, everyone always talks about echo chambers in the most negative light of like, oh, you're closed off in your own little bubble of things. But I've seen it so positively, like I said, from everyone I've got around me. Before I did this, the idea of a marathon in general was like, that is up there, like top 1% of people will ever run a marathon, which statistically is true. Like, it's the 1% that run a marathon. But now, like, I think I said this on Mike's podcast, funnily enough, is I was just thinking, like, in my head, everyone's run a marathon, because like a high percentage of people, at least like 50-50, because I've got like I said, Bob Thomas doing like Ironmans, I've got Grant doing double Ironmans, I've got Lee doing Tenafan in 10.5 hours, I've got Mike doing 100 milers. In my head, like, a marathon's not anything really other than training.
Yeah. And
I've created that little echo chamber of like adventure athletes, and it's just like, it really skews your perspective, but in the most positive way possible for me.
I like that analogy, an echo chamber of positivity. I've not heard about that quite right. I've always heard about echo chambers being negative, but yeah, what you've created is an echo chamber of positivity, and look what it's spewing out. Look at the challenges that people have just done in the last few weeks, especially with Mike and his 100 miler, and there was a few others, and it's pushing people further than perhaps what they would have done or could have done. Yeah,
and I feel like it's starting to affect my clients as well, because they're seeing what's possible, not just from me, but from the podcast and from what I'm sharing on my Instagram, and the people that I'm going to support. Like the Stand Tall guys got their top on here. They did their walk from Cardiff Bay to Pen y Fan and back, which we were both supported on different sections. And like, they're seeing these things, and I've got this one client who signed up to do some like bodybuilding sort of stuff. He wanted to get bigger, put on some weight, also increase his bench press, like standard gym goals. And he's coming to the end of that program, and he sent me a monthly check-in, and I always ask, like, how are you progressing with your goals? Is there anything else I can do to help? And in the bit, how are you progressing to your goals, he was like, I feel like these goals don't mean anything to me anymore because they're so just generic. He was like, I want a challenge. And then in the bit how I can support him, he was like, I want to sit down and set a challenge with you, like on what I can train for next. And he wants it to be performance based. So he's gone from, I want to bench and get bigger, to like, what's a challenge that's actually going to get me excited? And now we're going to go do the fan dance at some point. So
well, that's the key. It's got to excite you. You can't just pick something. If it doesn't excite you, what the hell's the point of doing it? You've got to be excited about what you're tackling. And if a half marathon doesn't excite you, don't do it, because it's not just a half marathon. It's bloody 3 months of training. If you're not looking forward to what you're going to do and excited by it, you're not going to stick at your training. So always pick something that bloody get the motivational fires going. Get a roaring fire going. That's what you want. So good for him. The fan dance is a toughie. But I've always thought that my brother's a bit of a gymmer, and a few friends are gymmers, and they go, I can bench whatever at X amount of kilos, and I say, so how does that help you? How does that help you in day-to-day life? The only way you can ever flex that is on a bench in a gym lifting a weight. That will never help you. But if you apply it to something real and tangible, and an adventure or a challenge that you can go out like the fan dance, then you are training with purpose. I suppose that's it. You're increasing your performative capacity for a purpose of this goal. So good luck to him. Yeah, you'll get excited about that.
Yeah. talking about challenges then,
Yes.
let's get on to you and your next big challenge, which this is going to be an exclusive, if I'm not wrong.
Adventure Athletes exclusive. The next big challenge. So I haven't discussed this with anyone. Like a few small select people know what I'm trying to do, but I haven't done a challenge now for 2 years. And the last one we did was Tenavan in the middle of winter, snow, ice, hail, whatever. Strong winds. Really took it out of me, actually. It's like 24 hours challenge. I think we did it in 23 hours, 20 and 25 minutes, something like that. I've had a rest for 2 years. I'm ready to come back with a bang. I want to raise money for Movember. It's a male charity, obviously, really important to me, men's health, mental health. And I'm going for a record. I want to set a world record on the 1st of November. You've heard it here first. I'm going to be, GPS drawings?
Yeah.
So I want to set the world's biggest GPS drawing of a cock and balls.
Oh, I knew about this anyway, and it still makes me laugh every time I think about it. Like,
again,
why?
Right, why? Purely, I think it's very apt for Movember, men's health, but purely attention. I think it's so important nowadays when people are trying to set themselves challenges. Like you were saying with doing a marathon may not excite you because everyone's done one. Well, if you're trying to raise money, I think it's been done a lot, time and time again by other people. You need something that pops out and stands out, and is instantly, you understand what it is as well. So, for example, yours, marathon tire flip. 3 words, I know exactly what you're trying to achieve. I know what it is. World's largest GPS cock and balls by foot. You sort of instantly, right, I get that, I understand what it is, but it's different, it stands out, it's going to grab your attention, it's going to stop people scrolling. As soon as they see that big graphic on their phone, they're going to be clicking on it, and hopefully by getting the attention, I can then get the donations and I can raise some money for Movember.
Yeah. That is quite a challenge.
Yeah, some stats for it as well. So at the moment it is 75 miles long. I think it's 10,000 feet of elevation. It's going to be up and over the hills of Brecon around Abergavenny. The reason why is because when looking on a map of Wales, I wanted to do it sort of close within my vicinity. I found a nice sort of section of the Brecon beacons up from Abergavenny that reminded me of a lovely shaft of a penis. And then down below, I was able to shape 2 balls, and I was like, that's it, that's my map. And then I checked the distance. It was 74 miles. I was like, fuck. The most I've ever run is 50 miles. I did that 4 years ago. So, but don't be fooled. This is what I want people, don't be fooled. Oh yeah, I've run 50 miles. He'll be able to run 75, no problem. I am a lot less fitter than I was 4 years ago. A lot less. I'm a lot heavier as well, probably about 2 stone heavier. And also, at the end of that, and I trained for it for a long time, at the end of that event, I was done. I couldn't have taken another step. So this is not only upping the distance, I'm smashing the elevation as well with 10,000 feet, and also I'm a hell of a lot heavier and unfit. So I've recently just been going on a few runs this week. So let me take you back. I did a trial challenge recently where I did the South Wales 3 Peaks. This was 2 weeks ago before I went on holiday. It was something to aim for and a bit of a trial. That was 22 miles, and it beat the living hell out of me. I was done. I was done. So I've got now just over 3 months to train for this. I'm in nowhere as good as condition as I need to be to take this on. So this is going to be one hell of a challenge, and hopefully that's enough for people to feel that they will donate towards my cause. And it's not going to be easy. It's going to be hard. It's going to be a laugh, and hopefully I can bring it home for Wales, and Wales can proudly say that we have the largest GPS drawing of a cock and balls ever produced by foot.
I can't get over the challenge, to be honest. Like, it is a physically demanding challenge, like you're saying. 75 miles with that elevation is incredible. But just the nature of the challenge itself is just hilarious.
Yeah. Well, do you know what? So you've got the people that have just done the Epona recently, and they trained for months and months. Probably like, I know Mike was training for a long time, but these people are probably training for 6 months, 100 miles, and it was tough. And it's over the same place where I'm doing it. I'm doing almost the same distance in the same location with only 3 months of training. So if that hopefully that can inspire people like to go. There we are. That was my theme music for the challenge. So I'm coming out to that. Yeah, so essentially I'm going for it. I'm excited for it. Again, I'm just saying personal challenges is where it's at. That's what excites me now, and I'm going to give it my all. Okay. Give my everything, yeah.
Has anything else happened since the last podcast ends? We've spoken about your new challenge that you set. We spoke about the Adventure Athletes 1 year anniversary challenge. Mm-hmm. What else has happened in that time?
Have you got anything specific in mind, or shall I... No. Oh, right. So, definitely. I tell you, here's a point I just want to talk about, because we talk about pushing our limits and giving it our all, and I think you're a living, breathing example of someone who just gives it 110% every single day. And I want to talk about rest and how important that is. And honestly, because
I've been avoiding this topic.
I know you have. So for the last 4 years since been doing Rockman, I have been working myself to the bone, very similar to you. In that every waking hour is spent on Rockman, managing the brand for people and the members. I've got a full-time job around that. In the last 5 years or 4 years since I've been doing it, I've had not one but 2 children, 2 young kids. We've done a lot of work on the house as well. I've tried to set up my own second company that I want to set up as well, a marketing company, because that's my original training is design and marketing. And so I've been working myself to the bone for the last 4 years, non-stop. And I'd only realised this recently when we went on holiday. So I've just come back from holiday, where it's the first time I've ever gone on a week-long holiday, ever, honestly. And I was sort of forced to take rest. And I was quite anxious about going on the holiday, because I was like, I've got stuff to do, I've got tasks, I can't waste a week of nothingness. I've got loads of things to do for Rockman, work, my other company. But then I was forced to go on it. I wanted to go on it, but it sort of forced my hand to go and not do work. And on that holiday, I got to spend lots of time with my kids, lots of time with my wife, on the beach, relaxing by the pool, and quite a lot of reflection, actually. And I think it only dawned on me how much I was doing, and perhaps how stressed I've been, and how much I've been neglecting some of the major points in my life, which is my family. Because obviously I'm doing Rockman and I'm doing all this work to hopefully improve our lives and work to a better life that I can have with my kids and family. But by doing that, by working on it all the time, I've almost neglected the whole reason of what I'm doing it for. And that's for the kids. So weekends, the weekdays, we don't get to do anything, because I work, come back, sort the kids out, Rockman, bed, wake up. It's just that cycle. Weekends, I've got to fit more work in. There's more work that needs to be done. I need to also get my training in. I'm not seeing the kids until sort of midday on a Saturday. And then only we can squeeze in something for 2 hours before we've got to do something else. So it's been full on, and at the moment I'm in this period between holiday, and I've got a running festival next week that I'm going to in the Gower, where I am consciously not doing anything. I'm taking a break, and I think it's rest is as important as pushing ourselves, and I think burnout is real. Burnout is a real thing, but it can be such a slow burner that you don't notice it until it creeps up on you. And I think going on holiday was one of the best things I've done to make me realise how hard I have been working, and how much I'd had been sort of driving myself into the ground. So I'm having a period of 3 weeks of doing nothing. I'm just concentrating on the family, and I'm going to have a reevaluation about everything that I'm doing. And I want to, I'm not stopping, but I want to come at it at a different angle, so I'm not missing out on the whole reason why I'm doing this. It's to spend quality time with my family and my loved ones. And then we were talking earlier when we came, and you're telling me how much you're doing and you're up to your eyeballs. And I want to have this conversation. I want to inspire you to take at least some time out for yourself. No one else, none of your businesses, none of your brands, to give you that respite. Because I think in the you will go further by taking those little respites. And you may think, I'm not going to burn out, it's fine, it's whatever it is. It's a slow burner. It could be 10 years before you get to that point. But if you don't take a moment to stop and smell the roses, as they say, and do what's important for you, I think you'll help yourself, and you'll actually improve your performance by taking those respites. Listen to your coach. He's just given you 2 weeks off, and I know. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think about the story? And this, I think this might actually resonate with a lot of listeners as well, because they probably live their lives of responsibilities for other people. They're not getting any time for themselves, and it's just kids, work, family, life. Kids, work, family, life. The dog. And I want to remind you and the listeners that taking a rest is important.
The first thing I was thinking when you was like, you need to take these rests, like plan it in, take the time off, the first question that came to my head was, can it wait till after the Tire Marathon?
And do you know what? Yeah, it can, because I think when you've got a goal, an imminent goal, imminent, you know the word. How'd you imminent? Imminent goal. When you've got an imminent goal, I think concentration and effort does need to be applied to that. And after that, have a holiday. No climbing. Have somewhere where you rest and you recoup. You've got one of these watches, right? I'd love to know what your body battery is when you wake up every morning. I'd love to know have you got the body battery on it?
No, I don't have that feature. Sorry, can't disclose that information. It doesn't exist. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. You've deleted it. Yeah. Right. Okay.
No, I do have that feature. Not disclosing it publicly. It's not that high. I can tell you that much. It's okay. It's okay.
I can imagine. But I think it's a good discussion point, because we all talk about pushing ourselves and stuff like that. But I think people need to be reminded that we're not invincible. We do need rest, and sometimes when you're in it so much, you cannot see it. It took a holiday. It took me being ripped away from my computer for a week for me to actually realise, shit, I've been going at it hammer and tong for 4 years. Like I did need a rest, and yeah. That's where I'm at the moment.
And I feel like my thoughts are going to be very prevalent to the sort of people that need to hear it as well. Because even as we're speaking it, I'm in my head thinking, yeah, but that's not going to happen to me.
Yeah.
That it's logical. I can see the logic in it of you need the rest, you need the recovery. Like the science of training, rest and recovery is so important, and I understand all of that in training, and I use that for my clients. And it's the thing of like what you tell yourself versus what you tell others. And for a training program, I fully understand the science of the rest timings and overcompensation, supercompensation, leading to burnout and all of that stuff, and I understand the importance of it all. And for me personally, that's not why I train. Like I always tell people, I'm not training for physical benefits. I actually hate training, which people are surprised by. I hate the physical act of training. What I like is the benefit that training gives me in the sense of what it allows me to do. Like I would not be able to run an ultra marathon if I haven't trained. I wouldn't be able to flip a tire for a marathon if I haven't trained. That doesn't make the training exciting. It just makes it necessary for what I want to achieve. So that's how I've always seen training. It's just allowing me to do the things that I love doing, and if I don't train, I can't do the things I love. So I understand the science of it all, but then it's always just, I don't feel like it then applies to me when I'm trying to do challenges, or if I've got work on, and in the other aspects of my life, I'm like, I'm so logical, but that's not me. I'm not going to burn out. That'll never happen. I work so hard. If I was going to burn out, I'd be burnt out already. And who knows, maybe I am burnt out, but you keep pushing through. And yeah, as much as I'm trying to convince myself that that's true, I know that it's not. I know that I'm not special.
But you can, preventative measures now will enable you to just keep going on and on and on. And one of the big ones that I put into my, maybe because of enabling me to have gone on so long for 4 years. And by the way, I don't feel like I'm burnt out, but by taking the time away, I was like, I'm on the path to, that's for sure. So one thing I've always done for the last few years is I make sure I have one good night's sleep where I try and fully get that body battery right up to 100%. I think if you can just take 1 day rest a week, you're going to lower those cortisol levels, the stress hormones. You're going to give your body the chance to sort of just re-heal, and then you can go again. But then you must plan rest days at least. I mean, like, not for your clients you do, surely. Yeah. But if you, I mean, there's active rest and stuff, and I suppose it all does depend, because what if, you know, a top athlete is going to be very different to someone at the bottom.
Yeah, it's to do with your work capacity.
Yeah, because if you're up there, then. But sleep is a big one for me, and I do try to get to bed. I try to get my at least 9 hours of sleep. That's my minimum for me to function well. And if I can't get that, I have to do it at least once a week, and then that gives me the longevity. And maybe other people feel like this, you know, they feel, I bet you they do. This isn't,
I can guarantee, like, almost anyone listening has that, where, like you said, like, there's so much going on in life. There's family, there's work, there's things to do for other people. What are you doing for yourself? And that is something I learned through therapy, and my solution was on my runs sitting on that bench, which I've spoken about to death's door. But like you're saying, it's more than just sitting down for 5 minutes. That's not true self-care. It's something that's needed for me and my mental health, but then looking at physical health and like all of the different metrics, you can judge that by the 5 minute sit on a bench while you're out running isn't rest.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the times, maybe a couple of years ago, it would usually build up for me over a course of maybe months to a point where I'd be like, oh my God, I can't do it. And then I would just have like a complete clear the decks, cancel everything, start from box one again, and then it would build up over a few months. That was my old strategy. Now I'm conscious of it. I only prioritize things I can realistically do. I have set working hours for myself. I won't work outside those hours. From like 8 o'clock, I don't work past 8 p.m. I'll get up in the mornings. I can do work then, but I won't work past 8 a.m. I just protect my sleep. Sundays, I don't work at all. That's for the family. But by putting little things, measures in like that, or little rules, again, you can just give yourself that sort of longevity.
I feel like it's easy for me to get caught up in it all because I work evenings and weekends, like coaching. I run my business full time. I don't have a family. I live on my own.
Oh, you wait till you add that into the mix, like, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's one reason why family didn't appeal to me. Like, I'm very on and off with my thoughts on whether I want a family or not. And one of the things is I can barely give myself enough time. How can I dedicate time to, like, raising a child or having a partner? Like, it's a difficult thought, and like growing up, you never think that you're gonna think about whether you want a partner or not. You just assume that that's life. You have a partner, you have kids, and it's not for everyone. But like my experience is, as I've grown up and I'm realizing how much time and energy goes into that, it's like, is that what I want? And in a way, yes, I do want that. But then in another way, it's like, well, I've got all this other stuff that I want to achieve for me personally first. But then it's like, for me, where does it end? Where does this stuff end and then this stuff begin? Mm-hmm. And is there a way of doing both? And for me, I cannot find that balance.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I mean, I've got my own opinions on children and families. I mean, like, maybe I'm not going to sit here and preach, you know what I mean? But you find, I mean, I don't know. It was when I hit 30. It was when I hit 30. It was weird. It was like a switch. I just went, I'm ready. I wasn't ready up until then. Hit 30. I was like, yeah, I'm ready now. Took a fair few years then because I didn't have a missus at the time. I had to get one of them first. But then, what you find important changes. It'll never stay the same. It won't be. It'll be like what's important to you, what your priorities are, change, and allow yourself. Never stick to something just because. Oh, but I used to believe in that. No, allow them to change. And if you find something, it doesn't have to be children. It could be someone else. It could be you get into bloody hula hoop, whatever. Allow yourself to change. Don't think you can't do it because of X or Y or because you're doing this. But I don't know. You'd love a family, man. You would, like, because I mean, you'd die for your kids, wouldn't you? Like I would for mine. And when you're saying it's do you want to go do a 100-mile run or spend time with your kids? I'll spend time with the kidders.
I'm at the stage where I'm like, 100-mile run. That sounds more appealing. But I also know that I get a lot of the, not to the same extent by any means, I don't want anyone to take this wrong. I get a lot of the sort of benefits and the emotions you get from being a parent from coaching, because I work with children, and by no means am I saying it's the same as raising a kid. It is 100% not. I always joke that I get the benefits of having kids without having kids, because I get 2 hours where you get to like basically just hang about with kids and like have a joke with them and get that side, and you train them and you get to be proud of them when they compete and they do really well. You get those emotions of like, I'm so proud of what you've done. And then after a couple hours, I give them back and I'm like, you deal with all the bad parts. I'll just teach them how to do some somersaults. And then off you go. Go be little troublemakers at home.
I think it's an issue, I think, for all new parents when they get kids. Is you do suffer a loss of identity, I think, because something just comes into your world and just soaks up all your time and resources and effort, and all of a sudden you have no time for yourself. And then, like, who are you then if you can't do these things? And looking after your children or any dependents is very important, and you're all in on it. But then you do have to have something for yourself, and you never throw those goals away. Have them, but you just have to accept the fact that, all right, I don't have that much time now. This is how I'm going to tackle this issue and problem with the time available to me and the resources. But never. That's the one thing that kept me sane, was running during those first few months with kids. It gave me time to get out of the house, time with myself, time with my thoughts. No screaming, no shouting. Shouting. I'm probably the one shouting. So having that time for yourself and exercise is very important. I don't know. It's a podcast about children now. There we are. But hopefully people can like resonate with it. You know, there's a lot of parents here. There's a lot of people who've got kids, and maybe their challenge and aims do suffer because of that. But never resent the kids, man. It's just you gotta do both. You gotta find time for both. It's not one or the other, because you'll find issues later on down the road. Then definitely.
Yeah. I'm very heavy into my challenge era with my 12 labours and everything, and I feel like they're all such monumental tasks that I struggle committing time to anything else. As you can imagine, if I say I do a 4-hour tyre flip, I have to get to where my tyre is. I have to mentally prepare myself for it. Afterwards, I need to just sit down. I don't want to be driving straight from a 4-hour tyre flip, and like that. I'll then talk to people as well, and then I'll drive home, and that's my day gone. When I get home, I'm not thinking, oh yeah, I'm gonna go round do chores.
Oh, Jesus Christ, yeah.
I want to sit down. That's what I want to do right now. I want to sit down and eat. So it's a whole day. And it's like, people look at it, they're like, oh, you did a 4-hour training session. It's like a 4-hour training session, which has wiped me out for the day.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's a level of commitment. And then I know the next day, I've still got an hour of tyre flips to do the next day. I've still got the day after doing an hour and a half. Like, I've got more training to do. It's not like I do a 4-hour session, I'm like, that's me done for the week. It's like, I still need to have enough energy to do the other stuff. But then, because I work so much, my only day to do that 4-hour tyre flip is on my day off, where I then have to like meal prep, food shop, everything else to prepare me for the next week, and then I do it all again. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we can't sit here and moan about jobs and family and stuff, but you're going to do it despite having a job. This is what we're talking about earlier. You're going to do it despite not having the time. And, you know, how are you going to change your plan to fit in the work and stuff? And in there is the challenge, isn't it? No one's got a perfect lead of 12 weeks up until the challenge. It doesn't happen. Things pop up, family occasions, emergencies, responsibilities. And it's how do you react to that and do your best in that moment. In my challenge, I've planned out the whole training already, and there's this. I've got a stag do 3-4 weeks before the challenge. Like that's my 2 long runs gone, which is so important to this challenge. Plus a load of alcohol in Ireland, Guinness in Dublin. You know, that's going to knock me back. But then it's how do you deal with that? How do you amend it? How do you fit things in without just throwing the towel in? You know, you just do your best, I guess.
Yeah, it's balance. I feel like that's the overarching theme in everything we've spoken about, is finding that balance, whether it's balance in your day-to-day life, your weekly life, or long-term. Like, where is that balance? How do you fit everything in? And it's never ending. No one's going to have the perfect balance. I look at periodization for athletes, for example, and they never train that same extent all year round, and it's never like the perfect ramp. Like you're saying, you train and you get better, and then you reach a peak, and then you rest a bit, and then you train. It's not perfect. It's up and down, and you try and maximize on that by planning different things throughout the year. So it's like, at this point we're going to work on speed and agility, and then we'll have to swap that because we'll need to work on strength at this part. But you're going to get slower, and things are going to go up and down. And it's just balancing them all throughout, so then there's a gradual increase. Like, the overall arching trend is increasing, improving. And I feel like that's a thing for life. Like, a balanced life isn't one where it's like, I've got a perfect balance where I spend 12 hours a week with my children, I spend 12 hours a week working, I spend 12 hours a week doing this, doing that. It's like, there's going to be times where, with me, a lot of my life is focused on adventure athletes and my training right now, but then there's other aspects of my life which take in a backseat, like sleeping, for example.
Yeah.
And it's just, you go through periods and realizing it's okay to prioritize different things at different points in the year. Like, something I love doing, reading. I have not read in months because I cannot fit it into my work and training schedule. And I get annoyed because you're like, I really just want to sit and read, and I don't have time, and I don't want to like just be like, I'll just do it today, because then it's like, how much can you really read in it? Well, I'm a slow reader. I can't read that much in a day, and I lose concentration. But like, I'm not going to start a book and then be like, I'll finish it off in 3 months. If I've started a book, I want to finish it. I don't have time to finish a book now, so after my time marathon, I know I'm going to prioritise reading. And it's just, you go through those periods, and just realising that in itself is balance.
Yeah, I think you're right. You're going to have different obstacles, different priorities at different points throughout your year, your life, your month, your week, your day. And as it changes, adapting to that, and adapting seeing the issue that is at hand and tackling it in that moment, and not being rigid. It's about being adaptable, and so you'll progress, you'll peak, you'll hit your challenge, your tire flip, and then I would taper down, have a rest period where you concentrate on something else, maybe upskilling, reading, more research, more development of the business, and then once you've had that rest, you're able to progress onto something else. Yeah, I think how you described it was perfect, to be honest.
Yeah, it's just hard to accept that in the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, because you want to do everything. I want to do everything. But as soon as you recognise that you can't, then you're able to make positive steps forward to what you can do.
Yeah.
And don't spread yourself too thin. Yeah, it's hard. Whenever I do a training plan, I'm like, right, what do I want out of my training plan? Well, I want to be fast. I want to lose weight. I want to put muscle on. Oh, you want to do everything, but in realistic, if you really want to make gains, it's about maybe just picking one. Really, if you're going to make proper gains, 2 maybe, and I suppose that's it with life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Our live editor has fallen asleep. Well, thank you for your time. I've loved this conversation. I always have a great chat with you. It's always a pleasure. So thank you for spending the time to come back down. Where can people find you online if they haven't listened to your first episode? Well, if you haven't listened to my first episode, go and listen to my first episode. I'm doing the intro. It's all backwards. The introduction. My name's Terry Rosoman. My Instagram handle is Trosoman, which is TROSOMAN. Please go give me a follow. And obviously, I am the founder and director of Rockman, which is a mental toughness challenge platform where we aim to improve people's mindsets and mental toughness by encouraging them to take on challenges, and we offer inspirational interviews, and we've also got a podcast which Will's been on. Check out that episode as well, links in the bio, and scientific sort of articles as well, and little dives into the science and psychology behind mental rigidity. Okay, amazing. And then our signature sign off. What is your weekly challenge for the weekly challenge? See, I was coming up here on the way and I was like, God, I can't think of a challenge. And then I was thinking about the topic that I'd like to discuss, and it was rest. And I wonder if my weekly challenge, here's a good one. Here's my weekly challenge. Get 8 hours sleep one night this week. A full 8 hours. I'm looking at you, Will. Yeah, I was going to say I'm going to try to do this if I can.
What did Yoda say?
Do or do not. There is no try.
Yeah. You either pick a time and go to bed, and go to bed at that time. And I think that should be a good one, because sometimes the rest area of performance can be overlooked, and it's not just for you, it's obviously to the listeners as well, because I know we all push our boundaries and slug our guts off. Get a full night's sleep in this week. I will tell you for a fact it's not happening this weekend though. There is no way I'm getting a full 8 hours while also doing the 3 peaks. No, you're going to struggle, but definitely don't sleep while you're doing the drive when you're driving doing the full 3 peaks. Yeah. Amazing. Well, thanks again for your time. No worries. I look forward to catching up with you again. Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Thanks again for listening to another episode of the Adventure Athletes podcast. If you want to find out more about our guests, check out the links in the description below, where you'll also find a link to our website, our socials, and my Big Moose fundraiser. Let us know in the comments who you want to hear from next, and we'll try and get them booked on as best we can. And if you want to get involved with anything Adventure Athletes, we've got so many things going on. We've got our programming that we'll do for people trying to take their next step into their own personal adventures. We'll do sports massage. We've got events that we're organising both online and in person, and we've got some different activity days based around getting you outdoors and learning something new. So if you want to get involved, check out the website. If you want to find out more about the guest, check out the links in the description. And yeah, let us know who you want on next.